ladies and gentlemen, Kristen Brown.
Imagine standing on the bow of a really tiny rowboat. You're in the middle of the ocean, it's really wavy, and you're standing there. There's a razor-sharp coral reef just a few feet below the surface. You're supposed to jump in. And you're standing there, you don't have a life jacket, you're sure you're going to drown. You're sure that you're going to be bloodied on the coral, the blood trail, sharks are going to find that, they're going to come and eat you. And as you're standing there, every worst case scenario spins in your head, and you're saying, no, 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 I'm not doing it. At the same time, your surfing instructor's down there in the water, bullying you to do what you fear most. How many of you would jump in? Hey, show of hands, who would jump in? Okay. That was my exact scenario 5 years ago. I took a trip to surf camp to try to ease the grief after my young husband died unexpectedly, leaving me alone with a new baby, a really difficult job situation, and just right on the verge of the collapse of the economy. And as I stood there on the bow of that little rowboat, being literally standing like this, crying so hard, I had tears and snot running down my face because I'm crying, I had a revelation. I was not afraid of sharks or coral or almost drowning. I was afraid of everything else in my life. Being a single parent, health issues, debt, being alone again, dating again. And as I stood there, I knew I had a big decision to make. Literally and figuratively, should I jump? Now, we all face crossroads like that. Shark. We all face crossroads like that, big and small every single day, right? And these crossroads have the potential to be one of two things. The first is a roadblock. Now, a roadblock is when you're so scared, you're so nervous, you dig in your heels and you're like, I don't know what to do with this change, and so you sit there and you get stuck. You lay in bed at night worrying, spinning, you get stuck in a job you don't like, you get stuck in a job that doesn't serve you, or you cower like a wuss in a rowboat. Or a crossroads can be a turning point, a defining power moment that could propel you into something amazing, something new, something big, something different, despite the stress, despite the fear, despite the change that goes along with it. Now this is a picture, a little microscopic view of your nerves. Kind of looks like a whole bunch of little crossroads, right? And these nerves have the power to tell you if you're going to be stressed about something or if you're going to turn it into a turning point. Because they respond based on how you respond to your environment. And so they kick out all these chemicals, and I'm going to tell you why. So this is Mr. Caveman. I wore this in honor of that male model of a caveman. And Mr. Caveman lived in a pretty dodgy neighborhood because his neighbor was a saber-toothed tiger. Every time Mr. Caveman left his cave, he knew he either had to kill that thing or run away, or he was dead. That's an annoying neighbor. Now, luckily, Mr. Caveman was blessed by more than extreme good looks. He was also armed with a defense mechanism that was designed to protect him from that saber-toothed tiger. This defense mechanism is that fight or flight response, that very first thing that tells us that something's amiss in our life, that something's out there to threaten us. Those stress chemicals I mentioned earlier, they would kick in as soon as he saw that saber-toothed tiger, activate his body, raise his heart rate, boost his blood pressure, his respiration, his perspiration. He would be ready to either kill that saber-toothed tiger or run away. He was ready, and that's the very origin of our fight or flight response. And it's a really good thing in the short term, right? It protects us. But you fast forward a few million years to today, and while technology's evolved, society's evolved, everything's evolved, our bodies and brains are still prehistoric. When we are threatened by anything, small, big, our bodies still respond that exact same way, kicking out stress chemicals, whether something's a saber-toothed tiger type of a danger or something just that's an inconvenience like traffic. And unfortunately in today's world, we all know how it is. We're overloaded. Every one of us is busy. It's almost like a contest. Who's busier? I have more to do than you. Oh, my phone is dinging. I have 200 emails in my inbox. How many do you have? We're overloaded, but all of this overloaded stuff, everything we juggle, causes that stress response to kick in over and over and over and over and over again. So we always have these stress chemicals circulating in us all the time. I'm not going to give you a biology lesson because this after lunch time slot, already hard to keep you all awake, right? But The leading researchers in the world have proven, without a doubt, the direct connection between stress and the leading causes of death in the United States. Heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, directly linked to stress and the damage that it does to us. Not to mention all of the annoying things that we suffer when we're stressed. Show of hands, we suffer when we're stressed. How many of you, when you've had a bad day at work, have been cranky? Headaches, stomach issues, a little bit short-tempered, insomnia. It's not good. It is not good. And when are we going to realize the damage that we're doing to ourselves, to the world, by living this high-stress, high-pressure lifestyle? The divorce rate is still 50%, directly linked to stress. 80% of people say that their job is their biggest stressor in their life. Stress costs the U.S. $300 billion a year. 1 million people are calling in sick to work every single day because of stress. That's almost 1% of the total workforce. And if you don't think 1% sounds like a lot, well, for every 100 employees that you have, one person's calling in sick because they're stressed. Not to mention all those people that are coming to work and they're just killing time or they're sabotaging you, like someone said this morning. It's not good. Put it another way. If you make $10 million in revenue, you might as well just take $70,000, flush it right down the toilet. Or you can send a chunk to me, and I will come in and I will teach you and your employees how to create a custom action plan to help your employees spin your stress into success so that you can grow, so you can be more productive, so that you can really elevate your company's productivity and performance. So you have a decision to make. Is this enough? Stress, all this stuff, is it enough? Is the high pressure that you're living enough? It's going to take a pretty big mindset shift to get people thinking differently about stress, because we've been kind of hoodwinked into this vision of work-life balance. How many of you have an HR team that says, oh, we need to work on our work-life balance. Oh, we should get a work-life balance speaker. Work-life balance is a myth. I want you to say this with me. Work-life balance is a myth. Say it with me. Work-life balance is a myth. It's not about fitting everything into work or everything into life, because the fact is there's too much stuff. That slide I showed before, there's too much stuff to fit in there. The problem arises when we're here, we want to get here, but those roadblocks stop us from getting there. It's not about fitting everything in, because that's impossible. The problem lies when our goals aren't being met. So the first shift is that you need to close that gap. And I have a little acronym for you. GAPS, clever. Goals, assets, priorities, support. Those four things have to be aligned, or you would have no hope of being able to turn your roadblocks into turning points, despite the inevitable stress that is never, ever, ever going away. It's only going to get worse. Technology is going to evolve. We're going to have Google Glass that's beeping all the time right here. Oh my God, I better answer that email. Stress is never going away. We need to close those gaps. The second mindset shift is to look at life like the conductor of an orchestra. Mike up here with a kazoo. Just like a maestro has to say, okay, violins, solo. Everything else is still playing on. Harmonizing the whole thing, making it all sound more beautiful. You have to do the same thing with your life. Decide what you're going to prioritize, what's going to play on in the background, not less important, equally as important, sometimes more important, but supporting from the background. I have a really simple tool to help you get there. The number one thing I get in my evaluations is, oh, I wish I had more time for the life map. Another really clever name, right? But the life map is really simple, it's really fun, and it's really powerful because it helps you unload all the stuff that you juggle so that you know your lay of the land. Just like a conductor needs a musical score to know how to harmonize all those instruments, you need a map too. You need to know what your lay of the land is, a guide, so that when you face those big turning point moments, you'll know that you're ready to jump. So, how many of you think that I jumped at surf camp? I can tell you that of the three things I was scared of, drowning, sharks, and coral reef, more than one of those things actually happened. And if you're ready to jump, come and see me at my table. I'll tell you the rest of the surf story, tell you whether I jumped, I'll give you a book, and I'll tell you how Happy Hour Effect back of the Napkin Club can help your organization grow. Thank you, Holly. Thank you all. Thank you so much.